Hey guys, hope you're well. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing a one-on-one client marriage success story with you. This client manifested a marriage with her specific person, and it's the most beautiful, absolutely amazing success story that you will hear. So let's get into it step by step. In this video, I will try to go over as many details as possible. And if you are someone who has been a slave to their insecurities in the past, or if you are someone who has faced trouble with hot and cold situations in the past, then this success story is for you. Watch it till the end. This will absolutely have great effects for you. You will absolutely love it. So, we will first start by reading the success story. So, here it goes. Hello, Karan. Hope you are doing well. Wanted to share a news with you. I got married to my specific person on December 5th, 2024, in a legal marriage ceremony. Post my last call with you, I had made up my mind that no matter what happens, I won't sabotage this relationship and where it is heading. And I saw major changes in him in that process. This decision of getting a legal registration done was also his idea. And he was the one who discussed with his friends and all the people close to us. He even did an extremely romantic proposal to me on that evening before the day of registration. Thank you so much for all the guidance and support. It means a lot to me, and stay blessed. She also said, of course, you can share this story on your page. The only two things that made a lot of difference and changed my situation within days is that the moment I had a conflicting thought trying to take me into a spiral, I used to get alert and tell myself that my mind is again trying to play with me. And even things when they were throwing me off at times, I controlled my reactions to it, and I kept telling myself that now things are perfectly fine, and all that I see now are the reflections of my persistent thoughts from the past. So my doubts couldn't overpower me much. Thank you so much for all the guidance. And also, when I stopped discussing the unpleasant things with people around me, my story changed faster. We will go through each and every step of these messages so that you can also understand exactly what we worked on. So let's first understand what her situation was. So this girl came to me, I think a while back. This was 2021, 2022, right? So 2021 and 2022 starting. And at that time, she was struggling for getting out of an unhealthy relationship. She was in a relationship that she did not want it to be in, and she was in a very back and forth scenario. There were multiple third parties involved. She was struggling a lot, and she just wanted to remove herself from that equation. Now, after working with her, we worked together for a while. She was successfully able to get out of that situation. And then at that time, we stopped working together. Now, in 2023 end and in 2024 starting, she came to me and she told me that she had started to get to meet a different person, right? Now, before this, a little bit more background on her past relationship is very important. So her past relationship had a few commonalities. One, she was being gaslit a lot, which means when this other person used to come to her, he used to give her all these promises, right? And at that time, she did not have proper boundaries, correct? And whenever she, and but these boundaries were somewhere implied. So it was somewhere implied that they were in a relationship, but it was never really said out. That was the situation. Now, how this person used to gaslight her was that every time he used to suddenly find a different person or there was another third party involved, she used to bring up the topic that why are these third parties there. He used to take back all the words that he had said before and used to make her feel that this conversation never happened, that we were together, right? And at that time, my client had very poor boundaries, so she wasn't able to understand what is correct, what is not correct, and she took it upon herself to tell herself that, maybe he's right, maybe this conversation didn't happen, me, I love this person too much, why would he lie to me? And all these things started to happen, and because of which there were multiple third parties involved. She was also not feeling good because there were consistent power struggle games. She was in a back and forth scenario. There were games like that, if he didn't text one day, so she would post stories in hopes that he would text her because of it. And then one day maybe she didn't text him, so he would try to get a reaction out of her. And all these power struggle games were continuously played. The games were also in this direction that, maybe if I wear these kind of clothes, he will like me, or maybe if I behave this way, he will like me, or maybe if I talk in this manner, he will like me, and maybe this will get and gather his attention. So these were the games that she was playing, and I will get to why we do this and then I will explain her future situation. So, as this was happening, and as she was eventually able to get out of this situation, when she met a new person, because she was working on manifesting a new love in her life and she was trying to manifest a relationship, so she did what most people do when they are trying to manifest a relationship. In general, she wrote down a list of qualities that she wanted to have in her partner, and she eventually manifested a guy who showcased these qualities to her. Now, this is where the trick started. We will go through each and everything now. Okay, so one thing that you have to understand about our mind, right? Our mind has this ability and this need to protect us. And how will your mind protect you? Your mind will protect you by creating assumptions and interpretations, right? Now, what happens is, whenever we go through a situation and we act a certain way, my mind is registering everything. It is also registering how I felt in it. It is also registering what my actions were, how the other person acted, and it is creating assumptions based on that. Now, these assumptions are being made not for me to be in a relationship, but for me to stay alive, because that's the purpose that my mind has. It is there for my survival, not for a relationship. So, whenever I will be in a situation where I'm mentally hurt, physically hurt, and I'm feeling a lot of pain, my mind considers it as an attack, and I don't want to go through that. So, my mind, what it will do is it will constantly try to protect me from being in a negative situation again. More often than not, that's why we get anxious, because something has happened in the past which is making us doubt the future. Hence, we are worried that the future will not turn out how I want it to be. This is what was happening with her. So as soon as she got together with this person, what started happening is that she started getting a lot of negative thoughts. Why were these thoughts there? Because her mind had a habit of assuming that every relationship or every guy is toxic, and that the other shoe can drop at any given point of time, which means maybe this guy will pull away, maybe she will instantly find a third party, maybe the situation will go negative, maybe he will leave her, maybe he will gaslight her, and all these things will happen, right? These were the assumptions that she already had, that all men are like this, all relationships are like this. So she was constantly assuming that this will happen, she was constantly assuming that something negative will happen, right? So as soon as she started getting together with this person, she started constantly getting these thoughts, because her mind did not feel safe in the idea of, one, trusting men, and two, trusting that a relationship can provide her comfort and security. So her mind was trying to sabotage the situation from the start. Why is that? Because the betterment, according to our mind in that zone, is that I would rather sabotage it now than for you to hope for a better future and then be disappointed later, right? Because the pain of disappointment is way higher than if I just assume something negative now, right? So she used to get these thoughts, she used to create assumptions based on these thoughts, and she used to act on them. She also started to unconsciously play power struggle games in these relationships. Now, I will give you a few examples of what kind of things that she was doing. So, she first started maybe checking his phone. She started inquiring where he's going. She started to unconsciously or consciously pick up fights with this person just to create some drama. She also wanted to see if he will come to make her feel better, or if he will come to make up and things will get better. Just because in her mind she thought that if this person is coming after a fight, that means that he likes me, or that means that he cares for me. When she was unconsciously, what she was doing is that she was just creating drama and fights in a relationship, which was not really great. She was also on a constant lookout for third parties. Now, there were no third parties, but she was constantly assuming that there were. And she was constantly linking this guy up in her mind with some other person, maybe with an office colleague. And she was also constantly badgering him for security, that commit to me, commit to me, commit to me. Why? Because in her mind, she was not fully ready for commitment. It's just that she thought that if this guy will commit to her, that she will feel security. She will feel secure within her own skin. And that is what she was aiming for. So it was not this constant badgering that was the thing, or that she wanted it. She just wanted to feel secure, and she thought that getting this guy to commit to me right now will make me feel secure. Now, what happened because of this is that this guy started pulling away. She also started creating assumptions based on that. So, think about it. She had assumptions, she started acting on those assumptions. This guy started getting detached because of this behavior and these assumptions and these constant badgering thoughts and these constant negative interpretations. And because he was now pulling away, her assumptions were coming to be true. And because now they were true, she was actually getting a solid belief that, you know what, my assumptions are coming true, the negative thing is happening, maybe this guy will pull away, maybe the worst thing will happen. And this became her constant life, right? This is where we restarted working together. So at that time we had stopped after working for a while, but this is where we restarted working together. Now, what are the things that we worked on? So there are two, three things that we worked on. The first thing, which is a non-negotiable, that if you talk to any one of my clients, I think I'm very clear about that, is that your actions are in your control. So the first thing I told her to cut off was that, you know what, whenever you get these thoughts that you feel that the need to act negatively on, your actions are in your control. So control your reactions. That's one thing that you can definitely do. You can stop badgering him, you can stop checking his phone, you can stop doing all these things. That is 100% in your control. And the one thing that she did was, she didn't come up with a story that, oh no, I just do it without even having my control over it. She told herself that if I want a betterment in my life, I will stop putting myself in a position where the environment forces me to react. So I will stop chasing, I will stop doing all these things, I will stop contacting him constantly or making him reach out and do all these things, right? The second thing that we worked on is, we worked on creating a pause. Now, this is where I have discussed this in the steps of my resistance, the how to handle resistance video. It's linked in the bio, you should check it out. Where what you have to understand is, every time there is a trigger, right, or there is a negative thought, or there is a negative assumption, there is a small pause in the middle where you have the ability and where you have the power to stop it. So let's say I get a trigger, what if he's with other women? Now, there is a very small pause where I can tell myself, let me pause myself. Maybe I'm just creating assumptions for no reason. I can pause myself there, right? But instead, what we do is we let that assumption run wild. And because we are already prone to reacting, or it has already become a habit, we let that turn into a full reaction. This is where she consciously chose to stop. She told herself that, you know what, I'm not going to be acting in this way, not going to be behaving in this way. I'm not going to create negative assumptions for myself. And she paused herself. She constantly paused herself. This became a very good habit for her. The next thing that she did is, she accepted the 3D, but she didn't consider it as final. Now, you don't have to ignore the physical world. You don't have to constantly tell yourself, oh, the 3D doesn't exist, the 3D doesn't exist, and all these things don't happen, right? You have to be in a zone where you're able to accept it for the now, that, you know, this is how it looks like. But this doesn't mean this will look like this forever. It will eventually lead to where I want it to be. That's the promise that Neville Goddard talked about. So let me stick to that. Let me stick to that perspective. That's what she was sticking to. And she also realized that there is a very realistic expectation that she needs to have. And the realistic expectation that she needs to have is that if she has done these actions in the past, if she has created these assumptions in the past, so when these negative thoughts, these beliefs, these assumptions come, she needs to be slightly patient. She needs to be slightly in control. She needs to teach herself that, you know, I need to be in slight control with this, because if I constantly just expect things to instantly get better, I am going to react when they don't. So let me just focus on the work and then let the world take care of itself, right? Eventually, what happened? This guy started reaching out. He came to her because she was detached. And of course, goes without saying, she also had my self concept course. She was working on her self concept continuously. So she was working on herself while not doing these things. So just look at this. This is a very potent and a very powerful combination. She was working on herself. She was not chasing. She was controlling her reactions. She was accepting the 3D. She was handling resistance. She was pausing before reacting. She was questioning her assumptions, which she knew were not taking her where she wanted to be. That's wow, like chef's kiss. That's amazing. That's what she did. So she continuously worked on this. And eventually, what happened is that this guy started reaching out. He started giving her everything that she wants. Now, as she shared in her success story, let's go through that. So one thing she said, that two things that really helped me was that every time I started getting a conflicting thought, I wouldn't let it turn into a spiral. This is where she was practicing the pause. This is where she was constantly pausing, because she knew that this was something that would really help her. The second thing, she said that I controlled my reactions, and I also knew that in front of me what is going on is just a reflection of the persistent thoughts from my past. You see, this is what I was talking about. She accepted the 3D. She didn't just constantly run away from it, but she also told herself that just because it looks like this right now doesn't mean that it has to look like this forever, which was an amazing thing to do. And lastly, which was one of the most important things, is she stopped constantly talking to her friends and her parents and her family that, oh, my circumstances are so bad, all men are this way, men just do this. I was just talking to one of my clients, right? And she said, oh, I really struggle in relationships, I don't know why this happens to me. And I said, like, are your friends in a relationship? And she said, no, I have a group of friends, none of us are in a relationship, and all of us have troubles that pass each other. So one day my friend has the same trouble that I have. Why? Because all we do is we constantly sit and we complain about our relationships. So of course your life is going to become that. It is widely known that your life becomes a mixture of 5 people that you talk to the most, right? Or that you surround yourself with the most. So it doesn't mean that you have to let go of your friends who are not in a relationship. It just means that it's a very good habit for you and your friends that you guys just don't sit there and crib about how unlucky you guys are in relationships. I would urge you to stop doing that yourself, and I would also urge you to stop enabling your friends to do that, because it's also not helping their life. So this is what this person did, and my client manifested her marriage with her specific person. This was such a beautiful thing. I really loved it, and I hope to see you guys there next. So if you are someone who's wanting to work on this, take learnings from this video. Take a piece of paper, write down everything that you learned, and you can similarly do that for all of my other videos. If not, then you can go for a coaching session. Like, there are thousands of tools available. Focus on it and apply it, because it will really help you. So I hope that this video helps you, and I will see you guys in the next one.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe and share if you liked the video. The link for my one-on-one coaching, my self-help courses, and my free newsletter are in the description box below.